guys. Good. All right, Coach, opening statement and open it up for questions.
Yeah, I mean, obviously got a conference win on Saturday. Not certainly the way you want it scripted, but a heck of a finish with 88-yard punt return for the win, and then defense went out and stopped them, and we finished the game with the ball, which is always a good thing with when you have a chance to end the game, and we were able to do that. So I don't think we played as good as we probably need to in order to continue this run in what we're doing, but proud of our guys and how hard they fought and the corrections they made throughout the game. And you got to give Nichols credit. I think the coaches did a really good job of preparing that team and taking advantage of some of the things that we were doing on offense and defense. But so it was finished with a bang. It started with a bang and finished with a bang. So we're happy about that.
You talked about adjustments on defense, and I thought you guys adjusted well because you gave up those 2 early touchdowns, and then you saw them do a field goal from that point on. Just talk about those adjustments you made.
Yeah, I mean, they did a good job of understanding like how we were going to leverage the ball a little bit, and they had some plays dialed up, and you got to have some guys make plays at that point, and really no one was really stepping up. And then once we got those things squared away and fixed, obviously Faulkner had a huge game and played really well for us, and I think Keytron Simpson played really, really well, and so I think there's some guys that are really starting to step up and play well, not just a normal cast of character.
You gonna go back in your bag of tricks for another Blake Thomas first play of the offense? 2 weeks in a row. I mean, is that something you looked at, thought you could get? Because you did the run with him the week before, and then you go on top with him this past Saturday.
No, I mean, actually, he wasn't really the primary. He was kind of the secondary. But, Aiden saw the low safety into the boundary and, went to that side instead of going to the field, and he made a good decision.
Talk about his progress, about Aiden.
Yeah.
Game by game, he seems to be getting more and more comfortable, making better decisions.
I think overall he's playing really well. I mean, he's helping us move the football through the air, which hadn't happened early on in the season. So I feel good about that. I think we had 273 yards total offense at halftime, which, we didn't play great in the second half offensively, but I think, 273 yards in any half is pretty good. That's a pretty good half. And a lot of that had to do with him with his arm, throwing the ball, making decisions on time, doing some things like that. Did have a little bit of a snafu on that 2-minute drive right through the interception, but it was a really good play by that kid, and we really didn't have our eyes in the right spot. So,
how about Kendon a little bit? National Player of the Week, back-to-back Conference Player of the Week, 88-yard touchdown on that punt, but he split those first 2 guys, and your blockers. I mean, your special team unit did a great job on that return. Everybody did their job.
Yeah, that team seemed to gel pretty good together. We've had some consistency since the first week on that team as far as guys playing. Sometimes that's not the case on special team. Got a lot of guys in and out, but because of injuries or just guys fall back. But that team has kind of stayed together and really played well and really given Kendon a chance to return it. Because if you don't do a good job on the outside against their gunners, you're not going to have a chance to return it. And I think Nick Brown and Zaylen Stoker did a great job all day on those guys and helping those out. And Nair Jones, another guy that was popping out there helping out. So, those are the guys that make it go. And obviously, Kendon's pretty fearless, but he's smart. He's not reckless. So, you like the things that he does with the ball. And, he's probably one of the grittiest and most explosive game players that I've ever been around in 31 years, and I've been around some good ones, and he's pretty good.
Receivers seems like they get more and more comfortable, and everybody on the same page. I thought the receiving crew had a good game.
They did, yeah. 5 guys played, and they all played really well and hard and blocked really well, and I was proud of those guys how they played. They've been. We've gotten after those guys a lot about their mentality and their aggressiveness in the run game, and they showed me. They came out there and played really, really well and really consistent. And I think that's always, when you turn on the ball in the last drive and those guys are out there blocking their tails off, that makes you feel good about where that group is coming along. So they still got a little ways to go, but we're getting better.
Talking about East Texas A&M a little bit, you got them up there Saturday, another long road trip.
Yeah, I mean 5 hours not really that long. I mean I've been on 8 9 hour bus rides, so that's nothing. But they're a good football team. Their offense is definitely explosive. They can throw it, they can run it. They got big offensive linemen. So yeah, they're gonna. I think last year they did some things against us too that really caused us some problems on offense. And defensively they're an aggressive bunch. They're gonna put a lot of guys near the line of scrimmage, and they're gonna force you to do what we were forced to do last week, which is throw the ball a little bit. A little bit more than I want to for sure. But yeah, they're a good team. They're one of those teams. I mean, they played Florida State, SMU. They played Grambling, who's having a good year, and they played NC Central, who's perennially a really good team in the MEAC. So they played some really good people, and obviously went out and scored 40 against Northwestern State last week. On the road. So they'll be fired up. They'll be ready to go. So I know that it's going to be a tough challenge for us, and we got to start playing better football overall. I think that's the key. A lot cleaner in the first quarter on both sides.
Special teams has been a big catalyst for making a lot of plays week in and week out throughout the season. What is the kind of the mantra you guys have been going out of special teams this year to just make a play?
Well, we try to keep it simple, stupid. Like we try to make the technique carry over from one special team to another, because those guys aren't spending, although we spend a lot of time on special teams, 30 minutes a day. Most teams don't do that. We spend a lot of time on that, but we want to keep the techniques pretty consistent so they can continue to work on them and get better. And we rep a lot of guys on our team, even guys that maybe aren't on the too deep just yet, but maybe we'll feel like they'll get on it at some point. And a lot of those guys started to come on those teams the last couple of weeks and have played well. And even our kickoff return team, who didn't have the best game this week, but there were some real big seams in there, and you just got to give McDowell one seam, and he's going to be gone. So I think those guys have really worked hard at it. I think McDowell and Kindon being healthy have really helped us in the return game, and then Xavier Coleman has given us a real spark. And I don't think everybody sees Xavier as a kick returner, but he's covering kickoffs. He's doing an unbelievable job for our football team, and that when a senior leader is doing that, I think it shows that a lot of guys, hey man, you better get on board or you better get out. I mean, that's kind of the way the mentality's been. And having a guy like Ben Woodard in the specialist group and Jacob Hefner, those guys have been really good veterans for us to keep that group going. Every time we get on the field and we work on a team, they really work hard at it.
Kind of like what we saw when we played North Texas. It's not that far from the Dallas area, so that's good for our players from East Texas and our players from the Metroplex area, for their families to come in. So we should see a good visiting crowd.
Yeah, I remember last year we had a pretty big crowd there. A lot of our East Texas and Dallas people were there, and they brought family and friends, and that's always good. And I remember when we kicked that last field goal, man, the place went crazy, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of people for cheering for the Cardinals. So yeah, it should be fun. I mean, they're going to be a good team. I know Coach Dolzell does a really good job of coaching them and getting them ready to play. And, he's a friend, and, I like to compete against him.
How often has, first off, I guess, how is Coleman right now? How often has he come to you and said, Coach, I'm ready to go, put me back in?
He's good. He's doing really good. He's, I think, should be cleared today. So, should be ready to get out to practice field tomorrow. And he's been practicing, not full though, so hopefully tomorrow he gets cleared to go full.
The reason I asked that is just I want to go back to Aiden McCown. I know you answered a question about him earlier, but talk about the importance, because if you go back to when Robert got hurt, it was in the South Dakota game, so arguably one of the biggest wins in school history, not arguably, one of the biggest wins in school history. The victory's kind of dampened a little bit because you lose a key player, and there had to be some concern. You had a young man who'd never taken an in-game snap for you, and he's just stepped right in, and it's just been business as usual. Talk about just how special that is and how key that's been to the season.
Yeah, I mean, I really give credit to our offensive upperclassmen, because they could have easily, put their head down and cried in their soup, but they didn't. They supported Aiden. They gave him all the help that he needed running the football and really doing a great job from our O-line and tight end group of blocking and opening up holes and kind of making him a little bit more comfortable back there, which, that's always the key for a quarterback, is making him feel comfortable. And the one thing about Aiden is he's always prepared to be a starter, even when he's been a backup. Always prepared. He's been at all our meetings. He's been, we game plan after this. We'll go game plan for the rest of the night, and he'll be in there, and he'll be taking notes, and he'll be asking questions, even before he was a starter. So, I don't think that's going to change, but I do feel like he's in a really good spot right now. He's done a really good job of putting our team, in position to continue having success, and we certainly appreciate him for that. And we'll see what happens, coming up in this week.
With that being said, I'm going to ask you, when Robert comes back, what's the situation?
We'll let you guys know as the week goes on. I don't make any. Aiden right now is going to be the starter until we figure out if Robert's ready, and then we'll make a decision on how the week of practice goes.